Hi, my name's Matt Widgery from mattwidgery.com. In today's episode, I'm doing the sister video to a video I shot a little while ago, 10 reasons to shoot RAW. I couldn't get to 10, I got to 9. So yeah, leave your comments below and fill in the 10th one and tell me what an idiot I am for missing the glaringly obvious. But without further ado, let's get cracking with our 9 reasons to shoot JPEG instead of RAW.
Shall we begin?
So, number 1 is speed. The read-write speed to the card is improved when the files are smaller. Your camera has a buffer in it which allows it to fill up like a certain amount in a temporary memory of pictures, and then it dumps them onto your SD card, CF card, whatever it is that you're using. Number 2, dynamic range. Dynamic range is terrible with a JPEG, but that actually can be a good thing because what it does is it forces you to pay attention to the exposure that you're making at the point of capture. So if you're a beginner or a novice and you're trying to really get the feel for your photography and making sure that you get as close as possible in camera, shooting in JPEG trains you to pay attention to what the exposure is because you don't have the latitude to correct it in post-production. Number 3, shooting in black and white. I love to shoot in black and white, and it's nice to be able to shoot and actually see the image in black and white at the point of capture. If you're using a mirrorless camera, you can use the electronic viewfinder in there and set that into JPEG. It'll come out and you can actually see the world in black and white. But even if you're shooting in a DSLR, on a DSLR, you've got a live sort of preview mode, so you can use the back of the screen, or even just the fact that you're reviewing the images straight away after you've shot them. If they're in black and white, you can immediately see how the feel and look of the image is before having to take them all back into Lightroom or whatever it is that you're using as post-production software to convert it to black and white. You can see at the time in the field what the black and white is going to look like as a broad idea, and it'll give you a clue as to how to shoot. It's really nice to be able to do that. Number 4, black and white, staying on that subject, but this time we're talking about using black and white as a tool. We're not necessarily interested in the black and white being the final image, so I would suggest in this case you shoot black and white, JPEG and RAW file for the colour later if you want to keep it in colour. But the point about having a black and white sort of image in the viewfinder, particularly with mirrorless cameras, when you're shooting with manual lenses, is that you can then have a coloured focus peaking sort of highlight on there to tell you where the focus is for when you're shooting manual focus. That is brilliant because when you've got just a black and white image and say like a red focus peaking highlight, it stands out really, really well and it's much, much easier to attain focus. The caveat to that is it's not entirely shooting just in JPEG because if you want to have the colour information later, you'll need to shoot in RAW plus JPEG. But regardless, it's still a JPEG and I'm still counting it as a point. Number 5, no time spent on the computer doing post-production. Some people love to sit in front of the computer for hours and fiddle with their pictures. Some people just want to go out and shoot more. And if you want the picture that comes out of your camera to look basically okay with a bit of sharpness, bit of contrast, bit of saturation already baked into it, that you don't really have to worry about doing anything in post-production, then shooting in JPEG is the only way of doing that because the RAW file that comes out of your camera is deliberately flat. There's no sharpening, there's no contrast, and it will look uninspiring until you've spent some time tweaking it. So if you just want to be able to shoot and go, then definitely I would recommend shooting in JPEG rather than RAW. Number 6, smaller file sizes make it easier to wirelessly transfer to the web while you're out and about. This, by the way, is why photojournalists will usually shoot JPEG rather than shooting RAW. If you're at the Olympics and you're wanting to be the person that gets their photo all around the world of Usain Bolt winning his gold medal or whatever it is, you have to be the first person to get that back to the news desk. And so the smaller the file size, the quicker it is that you're going to be able to transfer that, and the quicker it can then fly around the world. But even if you're not a photojournalist, a lot of cameras these days have a wireless module built into them, which allows you to beam the pictures out of your camera to your phone, and then from your phone to the internet. So being able to transfer these things quickly and seamlessly is a really nice way of being able to get your work out there faster and easier, especially if you're out there in the field and you're using a mobile data connection. Maybe it's on a limited plan or it's not a terribly fast connection where you are. The smaller the file size, the better. Number 7, the camera that you spent a lot of money on has had a team of designers and developers and software engineers making the JPEGs look as good as possible. Like there's a whole processing engine, there's firmware and software and all this stuff that's gone into making the JPEG look nice when it comes out of the camera. So why not let them do it? You've spent a lot of money on a piece of kit that's able to make a picture look really beautiful, and you'll say, no, I'm going to do it myself. Just give me the raw data off the camera and I'm going to do it. Keep your fancy millions of pounds worth of development and all that sort of stuff. Why not just use the one out of the camera? Makes sense to me. Number 8, raw files are big, JPEGs are small, and therefore you can fit more on a smaller hard drive, and it's going to cost you less money in terms of backup and that kind of stuff. On the cloud, for example, you'll find that the free data that you get in the free storage you get with a lot of services like Dropbox or whatever is fairly limited. You'll run out of that pretty quickly if you're a photographer, and then you're into having to pay for it. And although it's only $10 a month or something, that's kind of $10 every month. It's 120 a year, so on. So you do end up spending a significant amount of money on your backup, particularly over the internet if you're doing cloud backups, which I would recommend having at least one cloud storage solution, by the way, because if you have all of your data just on hard drives and they're all kept in your house and your house gets burnt down or burgled, then you've lost everything. So it's really nice to be able to have something off-site as a cloud storage solution that then if all your kit gets destroyed somehow, you can just go and buy another computer, more hard drives, download the photos back off the cloud, and they're all back in as you had them. So it's really nice to be able to do that, and the smaller files will definitely help. Number 9, slightly, and I'm stretching a little bit here to kind of make it up to 9 because it's slightly the same as the one we talked about, the cameras looking, having their own JPEG settings. But with some cameras, they have, going back to the point about film, they have their own film simulation modes in them that look really, really nice. One of the real reasons that I love shooting with Fuji so much is because of the classic Chrome film simulation that's built into that camera. I really, really like it. And so a lot of the time, I will, these days, just deliver the classic Chrome raw JPEG that's come out of the camera because it looks so nice, particularly if I'm shooting weddings or events, that kind of stuff. It just doesn't need any work doing to it. The colors are already brilliant. There's a nice amount of saturation and contrast, and it has a really finished look to it. I don't need to spend time fiddling around with it in post-production to get it to look all right. It kind of already does, and that saves me a huge amount of time. And it's also one of the reasons why why I'd want to have that camera. You can apply the classic Chrome simulation to your raw file, but it still takes a hell of a lot of effort to get it to go to look the same, because you then have to get just the right amount of sharpening in there, you have to get just the right amount of contrast and everything else. It's not just the sort of color application that they do with the JPEGs. They really do a very rounded job of making the whole thing look nice. So if you like that kind of thing, just go and buy the camera that does the nice job for you in the first place, and you will be winning. So what is number 10? Please leave your comments below and let me know why you shoot JPEG instead of RAW. If you like this content, as always, please subscribe. It helps me greatly. Oh, and by the way, with the subscription thing now, they've kind of changed YouTube around a little bit. If you can go onto my actual channel page and click the notifications so that you get notified of when these videos come out. Otherwise, these days, it doesn't pop up in your feed so much. You have to go and click on the subscriptions box and it's harder to find. So if you could do that, that would be great. But even a subscription, a thumbs up and a comment, that would be absolutely pucker. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Cheers.